Hi, my name is Dr. Todd Cunningham. I'm a school and clinical child psychologist and also a associate professor and teaching stream at the University of Toronto. In my last video, I talked about what is burnout. Burnout is when we are feeling overwhelmed and that we feel like we no longer have the energy to engage. We feel kind of consumed by the worries and fears of failure, and we find it very hard for us to be able to focus. So what do we do if that's us, if we're in this situation? Well, the first thing we need to do is do some preventative. Hopefully we can do some preventative. If we are knowing that a challenging situation is coming up, there's some key things that you can begin to do to help yourself get ready for a high intense time, which college and university is a very high intense time, especially as you're getting near the end of the term. So how do we deal with that? So the first thing is to foster at least one good social relationship. You need one person in your life that you can talk to on a regular basis about how things are going. And it has to be someone that you can be honest with, and someone who is also honest with you and supportive of you. Shouldn't be someone who makes you feel bad about yourself, but someone who can listen and you can be able to talk to. It can often be a family member or a good friend. And if not, then connecting with someone in accessibilities or the mental health team can also be very beneficial. But we need someone in our life to be able to connect with. The second thing is we need to kind of see instructors or faculty members not as sources of the problem. Often we see these are the individuals who are giving the assignments, or the assignment is unfair at what they're giving us, or the tasks that are needed to get this done. There's not enough time, or faculties don't talk to each other because so many things are happening all at the same time. That might be the case, but instead of seeing faculty and instructors as a problem, but really see them as a source of help. Reach out to them, talk about kind of some of the challenges you're running into, and be able to help them work with you in kind of being part of that collaborative problem-solving team to be able to solve the challenges you're coming up with. Faculty are people, and we generally are in the role of instructor because we want to help. So hearing that someone's feeling overwhelmed by the workload that is being presented to them, most of us will kind of say, oh, okay, let's work with you to try and figure out how to make this more manageable. So see your instructors, faculty members as sources of help and not necessarily as the problem. The other thing is you need to get a good night's sleep. You need to be getting good night's sleep on a regular basis and keeping a good regular routine of sleep going on. You might feel like, oh my goodness, I don't have enough time to sleep because I have so much to do. But without sleep, it's kind of like trying to chop down a tree with a very dull axe. Sleep sharpens you as a tool, sharpens the axe that you're holding. Sleep is very powerful in being able to allow you to have the energy, the concentration, and also the motivation and ability to engage in your work the next day. Same with drinking water. Water is really good at helping to keep the brain hydrated so that it can be able to focus. Along with water is eating healthy, having good balanced meals. And the last thing is taking regular breaks, getting out for a 10-minute walk every hour can be very helpful, or scheduling walks a couple of times a day. You need to be having other physical activities throughout the day. You can't just be sitting in a chair or sitting in a classroom and expecting your body, your brain to continue to engage. Your brain needs the ability to get out, move around, get oxygenation. That is critical. So taking those breaks and getting out into nature and moving around is really, really important. Another thing is when you are working, think about the 20-20-20 rule. For every 20 minutes, stare off at something 20 meters away for 20 seconds. Give your eyes a rest. Staring at screens, staring at the page for long periods of time creates a lot more stress on your system. So it makes it harder for you to engage. So these preventative things if you're experiencing already burnout or you're trying to prevent yourself from hitting burnout, are really, really important things to take into consideration. But if you are in the fact of actually feeling burnt out at this time, then there's some other key things that you should also do. The first thing is we need to first to reach out and connect with someone and let them know that you're having challenges. You need to kind of begin to create utilize that social engagement part of our brain to help us to bring down those stressors and those worries so that we can feel like there's someone who is in our court to be able to help us out to get out of this place. And just having a conversation with them a couple of times can really bring that stress down. That's why I'm connecting with the accessibility services or the other student support services at the college and university can be very beneficial if you don't have an immediate person in your own social network. Another great thing that a lot of students I support are doing these days are Zoom study periods where they go online together and they just have the Zoom thing and they're doing their own readings and writings and stuff, but they just can see another person, and once in a while they'll stop and talk for a bit and then get back to work. It's kind of creating that wonderful social connection, like being in the library or in the study hall together when we can't physically do it due to the situations that we're in. Do not engage in peer referencing. So peer referencing is when I compare myself to those people around myself. And often we will sit and say, oh my goodness, look at these other people. They're all so much more engaged in the work. They're all being able to get the stuff done. And look at me, I'm just so far behind in everything I'm doing. You don't know that. That's kind of magical thinking because you don't actually know what they're experiencing. They might be looking at you saying, oh my goodness, look at how well they have it all pulled together. I'm the one who's feeling like I can't get out of bed in the morning and having a hard time concentrating. So stop peer referencing. Instead, do peer engagement. Go and talk to them and see what they're experiencing and be honest with them. Maybe they aren't experiencing issues, but maybe if you talk about some of the challenges you're experiencing, they'll be able to engage with you and move to the next thing, which is break down the problems into smaller bits. So often we'll say, I have exams coming up, I have these huge projects, they just seem too big. The tasks seem too big. Well, any task, any project, any work or life situation can seem very large until we break it down into smaller chunks. And if you break it down into smaller chunks, each little chunk is a doable chunk. And once you've broken it down into smaller chunks, and sometimes we need to have someone to help us do that because we can't ourselves during burnout be able to focus on those small chunks. We only focus on the big problem. So having someone help us break down those small chunks or those big tasks in small chunks is really good. And then map them out. When are they going to get done? So then create a checklist so you can actually check them off. And part of that creating that checklist is also put the checklist of fun. When am I going to get outside? When am I going to do something that I enjoy in doing that? Now, one caveat of fun is that we also have to monitor how much screen time we're doing. Fun should not be just watching YouTube or playing video games online. Fun is about non-screen related activities. Screen time can actually burn and zap our physical energy. Getting outside and walking around or doing a non-screen task is really important for our mental health. So don't use screen as the key thing you're doing. And the last thing is if you find that you're having a lot of worried thoughts, start writing them down and putting them into a worry box so that you can say, okay, I recognize that I'm really worried about this upcoming exam. Well, it's still a month away, so I can't deal with anything right now. So I'm going to just write it down that I'm going to deal with it later, put it into my worry box. And then later on, you can come back and check those worry things and break those kind of bigger problems down into smaller tasks. By doing that, it takes you out of the moment of when you're actually feeling anxious about that worry, when it feels overwhelmed about that task that seems undoable. By putting in the box and then coming back after maybe you've gone outside and looking at it, that allows you to then move into the breaking it down into the breaking the problem down into smaller chunks ability and mapping it out of knowing when to do it. Often when we're feeling stressed and we're in the moment, it's hard for us to be able to engage and think. And again, that's why that social connection is so important, because that can help us break out of that loop that we might find ourselves in so that we can better engage. College and university is a very exciting time. And having that balance between work-life balance is really important for us to be able to look after ourselves so that we can be able to enjoy all that college and university has to offer. Thanks.